What is going on, guys? Welcome to Big Green Counter-Strike Bets, where we're going over breakdowns, analysis, predictions for all the important upcoming CSGO matches. Over the past few days, we've been looking at IEM Cologne, and it's been going really well so far. We've had some nice hits, some nice parlay hits. Yesterday, we almost had a nice parlay hit, but we got screwed over by MIBR, so that's kind of unfortunate. They lost to Tai Lu. Props to Tai Lu for finally getting it done. Sucked for us a little bit, but it is what it is. We got a nice hit on a straight bet for over 2.5 maps for Astralis versus Big, so that was good. And then we had a couple nice live bets that we got in there. A 2-0 on MOUZ versus Tyloo and 2-0 for 0-0 Nation against Imperial. So overall, we had a good day. Looking forward to another good day tomorrow, hopefully. We've got six best of threes coming up tomorrow, so this is going to be a big day. It should be fun, though. We've got some really, really great matches. I'm looking forward to it. The player break is coming up after that, so I'm trying to savor these matches while we got them. In a few weeks' time, we're going to really be wishing that we had this. So let's enjoy it. Before get into this, if you guys wouldn't mind just hitting that like and that sub button, goes a long way. Just trying to get this thing off the ground, and I really appreciate the support I've gotten so far. So just keep it up, guys. All right, let's just get right into this because this is it's gonna be a long one. I'm trying to keep these a little bit shorter, so I'm gonna try to speed through this a little bit more. All right, so first off, we've got G2 versus Movistar Riders. This match, I feel like in another time in history, a few months ago or a year ago, this would be, it'd be no question G2 all day. Nico, one of the best players in the world. uh, Monacy. We've got all these people, all these players that are incredible. And on paper, it looks like it should be a roll here. Just roll over these guys. But Movistar are in form right now. They're peaking. They're on a six-match win streak. They're coming off a win at ESL Challenger Valencia, a LAN where they beat Outsiders 2-1 and showed a lot of resilience. Um, Coming off a 2-0 win against Vitality, which also shocked a lot of people. Um, so they're dangerous right now, and got to respect that. I think G2 is still favored here, and just they gotta win something. They gotta start showing form here and consistently, because this is if it's not the most expensive, I believe it is one of the most expensive rosters in all of CS:GO. Just the way it was assembled and the amount of money paid for some of these players like Monacy. You know, they gotta get a result here. They gotta win something. They gotta do something here. Um, so like I said, Movistar is on a six-match win streak. Whereas G2 hasn't played an official in over 2 weeks. Their last match was a close loss to Vitality, where they had the lead and they kind of choked that one. Um, I believe this was what was this in? Blast Premier Spring Final, right? So Movistar's been active, so we gotta be careful about that. Take a look at the maps here. So G2 are going to veto Overpass, and Movistar are definitely going to veto Dust 2. So it's a great map for G2, so it kind of sucks. Um, I think G2 will probably end up picking Inferno or Nuke. Yeah, I think so. I mean, that makes the most sense. That's what they should pick, in my opinion. Um, and Movistar like to pick Inferno as well. I mean, you can see Inferno it's incredible for G2. It's one of their best maps. Well, it's probably their best map right now. Historically, they have other maps that they're great at, but right now they're just killing it on Inferno. You can see that. I mean, their only loss is to FaZe, which is there's no shame in that. Um, yeah, I mean they're just really solid on this map. If we look over here, you can see the bans, the common bans and picks for each team. Um, and you see that Movistar, they're first picking into Inferno a lot. So they also like to play this map. Whether or not they're still going to pick into it or go for it or let it come through, I'm not really sure. I don't know if we'll see how they respect G2 on this map. A lot of times in situations like this, the teams kind of they'll rack up and they'll go for it. They'll trust their confidence on this map, and they'll pick into it even though it's a good map for the other team. So we could get a situation like that where Movistar is like, yeah, fuck it, we'll play you on Inferno, because they're confident on it. I don't know. I don't see them banning it really. But if that does happen, if it does go to Inferno, I would be shocked if Movistar was able to take it. G2 is just too sharp on Inferno. They're phenomenal on that map. We just looked at some of those results, and you've got Monacy, who is just like a little freak. The clutches that he's had on that map, I think he's had like 3 or 4 incredible clutches. Like, one of them is like an all-time clutch. I think it was a 1v4 or was it a 1v5? I'm not sure, but he's clutching like crazy on that map, and he's very comfortable on it. So if they let Inferno come through, Movistar that is, I think they'll probably get overwhelmed. Nico's Deagle is dangerous on this map, especially in Banana. Um, I don't think it's a good idea for them to let this map come through. Uh, but we'll see. We'll see. Movistar is very good on Ancient, actually, but they're kind of reluctant to pick it for some reason. I feel like. Um, Yeah, they've never picked it first. 0% first pick. So, I mean, I don't know if they'll. I think they might pick it first still, though, even though historically they've never done it. I think they'd be wise to pick either that or Vertigo, and I really think it should be Ancient, their first pick, because G2 has just shown really, really poor results on Ancient. The T sides have been pretty bad for them. I'm a huge Alexi B fan, but I don't know, something about the T sides in general, and then uh, specifically the T sides on Ancient. They've just, I don't know, it's like very clunky. Um, it looks like a low level matchmaking game sometimes on their T sides, where they're all just kind of like clunking around towards one site. There's not really like a push pull. The lurk is not, uh, you know, it just, something about it is not great. And they had that one match. Let's see, where is this? They had a match against Furia here, yeah, where it was just abysmal. I mean, it was hard to watch. G2 took the first map and lost in an overtime to Furia on Vertigo. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. This is not. I'm an idiot. This is not the correct. It's this one here. I'm sorry. So that was 7 weeks ago. Yeah, it was this match right here. Okay, so they go to Ancient, the decider map, and G2 was just, their T side was abysmal. It was absolute garbage. They started off with a 10-5 lead going into the second half, and then they got one T round against Furia, who's not even. I mean, if you look at how they've been performing lately, like they're not really showing great form. Um, they've been playing kind of trash, and to get one T round against Furia and you're G2 with one of the best players in the world, you've got Hunter to back you up, you've got Monacy. I mean, it's just, there's not really an excuse for that. Um, Again, this was 7 weeks ago, so I would hope that they've, tried to shore up some of these holes and fix their Ancient a little bit, fix their T sides. But that is something to consider, that historically they've shown really bad T sides on this map. So if it does go to Ancient, I'm going to say that they need like a really, really strong CT half. Because if they do go to Ancient, obviously it will have been Movistar's pick. So G2 will start on CT side in that case. Um, and yeah, I'm going to say that they need 10 rounds probably. And I mean, even that is, they got 10 rounds here and then they still lost the game. So it's one of those maps where, for them at least, they really have to go hard on the CT side if they want a chance, especially against Movistar, who they had in their match against MIBR the other day. They had 16-13 on Ancient, but if you look at it, Movistar actually was down 11-4 at the half, and then they completely turned it around in the second half. They put up 12 CT rounds and only gave away 2. So they turned it around completely, and they showed a lot of resilience there. That was pretty impressive. I thought that they were going to choke it out and just be done, but they brought it back, and they took it to MIBR on the CT side. So for that reason, like I said, I think G2 is going to need like a really, really strong CT side, um, unless they've made like massive improvements over the time that they've been pracking, because they haven't played an official in 2 weeks, so they've had a little bit of time to work on some things. Um, and being that they permaban overpass, they have to know that Ancient could come through at some point, depending on you know, if they ban Vertigo or how that plays out. Just take a look here. 1 second. Yeah. So I mean, I think let's say it goes to Vertigo or Ancient for Movistar. They can pick into either of these and feel pretty comfortable. Um, it's G2 really should beat them anyway on these, but you can't um, anticipate that, and I wouldn't. I think it's kind of risky to bet like a 2-0 or something for G2. I don't know. They just they've. I mean, you can look at their results here. It's pretty few and far between that they get 2-0s these days. They're dropping maps more often than not, and they're dropping maps to a lot of different teams. Um, so I think it might end up on Mirage if it goes all three maps. No way to tell for sure. Um, I don't know. Movistar is good on Nuke, but G2, you can't really just look at these and have that tell you the whole story. Yeah, they have a better win rate, Movistar, but the 50% for G2, it should be higher. Like they're one of the stronger Nuke teams. In the Stockholm major, they gave NaVi a run for their money. Almost had a nice comeback on Nuke. They're definitely skilled on that map. So I would be careful if I was Movistar picking into that. Mirage, I feel like might be a safer one, but even then, I still favor G2 on Mirage. Hunter is very good on Mirage. He's always solid. Like in general, Hunter's always doing his job. He's very good. Um, Monacy, I think, is extremely comfortable on Mirage. He's played there, hundreds, thousands of times, and it's one of his go-to maps. Um, Alexi B also calls very well on Mirage. He's known to perform well here, and I've seen him have some pop-off games as well, where he's clutching and fragging like crazy. And I don't think Movistar has many quality wins on this map. Um, I mean, if you look at it, their best win is against Ence, and that was, in April. So, and it was a close match. This was like a Cinderella run for Movistar in Pro League. I remember that. That was I think they got out first in their group. That was crazy. Um, but yeah, they really haven't. Besides that, they beat Isurus, Sangl, Tyloo, Falcons, and then they've lost to One Win, Astralis, MOUZ, Finest. So when they go up against like even like you know low tier one and tier two like tier two teams are like taking them out easily on this map. So I'd be careful about that. Movistar are in really good form right now, but I think as long as Nico is shooting well, I think it's a lot of it will come down to that. Like if Nico shows up on Mirage, I think G2 should take it, and it shouldn't be an issue. But if it's one of those games where just like Nico is totally absent and he's not connecting, his deagle shot's not connecting, he's not rifling well, it could be a rough one out there. So yeah, we'll have to pay attention to that. Maybe you can get an idea of what kind of form Nico is showing in the first two maps, and then try to, if he's looking like really really bad, and then it goes to Mirage, I'd be careful. Because Hunter's gonna play well, like we said. Alexi B is gonna be comfortable calling. Monacy is gonna be comfortable on it. So I mean, it's really just gonna come down to Nico, I think. And which is normally you wouldn't think he'd be saying that, but he just I don't know. He's been up and down this year. And then Jax, I haven't really mentioned him, but he does what he needs to do. He's not gonna usually, at least, he's not gonna be like fragging like crazy or anything, but he's like the glue guy, and he's usually where he needs to be and does what he needs to do. So I'm not too worried about that. Um, this is a quick. You can see here like the type of calling and strats that Alexi B likes to put into place on Mirage. He's pretty comfortable here, and I've seen some really good plays from him. He can read this map really well, and read other teams on this map really well, and he kind of knows, as the game progresses, he's gonna know like how to play this team. So you can just take a look at this.
Now you post up on apps, okay? Because now they are losing so hard that he will do a mistake of strafing or something, because they want to get back into the game, you know?
Yeah. I'm jumping.
Don't see.
I don't see.
Palace dead.
Can be
No stairs, I'm blind.
Ramp out, can you fish? You mentioned the clip. I wonder if we could just...
Yeah, so you can just see there, just to get you an idea, like, of the types of calls and strats that Alexi B likes to put into place. And you know, a lot of times he reads it really well. Like he'll call it right there. Like he knew that guy was gonna overextend, and he's good at punishing that type of thing. So I think if Movistar start getting desperate on that map, they might run into trouble there. All right. Overall, I think G2 should win this, but I am a little bit cautious about Movistar, just because, more than anything, because of the form that they've been showing. They're on a 6-match win streak. They 2-0'd Vitality. They beat Outsiders. You know, they're showing that they can compete with top teams right now. So, you know, just be aware of that. And G2 really need to win this. It'd be pretty embarrassing for them if they lost. But we'll see what happens here. I'd pick G2 though. I think G2 will take it. Okay. Now let's take a look at NIP versus Heroic. So I think this will be a close match as well. These guys have very similar map pools. Take a look here. They both permaban Dust. So, you know, and their win rates are very similar. I don't know who's higher seeded here, but whoever goes first whoever gets to pick the first ban, may float Dust in order to get a ban advantage. I'm not sure. That would be kind of risky. But like, for example, NIP, if they have the first ban, they go first. They might, you know, skip banning Dust, where normally they'd ban it every time, knowing that Heroic also bans it, in order to ban something like Vertigo, you know. I mean, that's just speculation, but it's something, it can happen. I think NIP has a slight edge on Ancient if it goes there historically, so that's something they might target. But, you know, Heroic just got Jabby, whatever it is, and he's kind of like the secret weapon on Ancient, I think. You know, Heroic have previously shown like some disconnected kind of some kind of shitty play on Ancient, especially on the T sides. Like, they don't look like the same team on that map really, like in the past. But a lot of that, I think, was well, maybe not a lot, but some of it was definitely due to Refresh. He was not like a great performer on that map. I think it was his lowest rated map, and he just wasn't an Ancient gamer. And now that they've got Jabby slotting in here, that was one of their best maps on Copenhagen Flames, and he specifically plays it really well. I think that's going to help them out a lot on that map. I think that's going to change the way that map goes for them. So NIP kind of need to be careful if they're going to pick into that, just knowing that, you know, now they've got Jabby, so you got to be aware of him. I think Heroic should pick Vertigo if it's available, and Nuke if it's not. I mean, you know, the percentage isn't crazy high here. You might look at this and think like, oh, they should, you know, go with a map where they have a higher win rate, but this really isn't like, it's not like the word of God, the higher percentages or anything. Like, there's a lot that goes into this. There's, you know, you have to look at the sample size, you have to look at the teams they beat, the quality of the teams, that is. I mean, historically, Heroic are pretty good on Nuke. I like them on Nuke a lot, and I don't think that NIP play as much Nuke as a lot of other teams, and as much as Heroic. I know here they've played it a similar amount in the past 3 months, but I think Heroic have a better grip on that map as a whole. I think they understand like the concepts of the map better, And I've seen them have better results on it. I've seen them beat NaVi on that map, which is no small feat. So I like that for Heroic if they can get it to that. Obviously, if they can get it to Vertigo, that would be ideal. But you know, I don't know. I don't know how that'll shake out. I'll take a look here at the first bans and first picks. So you can see Overpass. Both of these teams usually first pick Overpass at about 50%, and Heroic is on a 5-map win streak here on Overpass. So if NIP does choose to let Overpass come through, or they pick it themselves, you know, Heroic they're no slouches on this map. They've been liking it a lot this year, and I would probably favor them on that. The thing is with NIP is it's just been like a revolving door, really. Like you know, their roster, I feel like it hasn't been the same roster for like more than a month in like the past year, since like, you know, they got rid of Knock for Device, and then, you know, Device is in, Device is out, then he's out permanently. Well, I mean, now it seems like it's permanent, but you know, he goes out for an extended period, and they've got all different people stepping in to fill different spots. You've got sorry, one sec, just had to shut something off. You've got Fuzi coming in at some point. You know, you've had ZTR. Yeah, like it's crazy. They're getting different AWPers, different IGLs. Hampus is going out for certain tournaments. The tournament that they just played, where they beat MOUZ, they won this tournament actually. It was a LAN in Dubai. Um, I mean, they had like their IGL wasn't even there. They had Hampus out, and they had a player from the academy team, ZTR, was playing instead of Hampus. So it's like even their last official matches that they played, you know, they won this LAN 4 weeks ago. Um, Although it you know, it's not exactly the strongest strength of schedule here. Strongest strength of schedule. You know what I'm saying. Um, Nasser, OG, MOUZ, like sure it's good. You won the LAN, that's good experience and stuff. But you know, they didn't go through Murderer's Row or anything like that. Um, and that was 3 weeks ago with a different IGL. Meanwhile, Heroic, they've already they came off their win against Astralis in the Pinnacle Cup at that LAN, and then they've already got their feet wet here at Cologne at the play-ins, and they looked good. They did drop a map to MOUZ, but you know, so did Heroic, or so did NIP, and you know, it is what it is. They got the win. They're on a 7-match win streak. I think they're in better form, and I think they're on a little bit of a honeymoon period with Jabby here. NIP are going to have, got to check the roster because it changes so much. I don't even know what's going on. They're going to have Brawlin, Hampus, Plopsky, Rez, and Esatag. It's kind of weird how Esatag has kind of just like ended up as the AWPer for this team. I mean, he's decent, but he's not a top AWPer. He's not a main AWPer, and I feel like that's going to give him issues when in the head-to-heads when they go up against teams that have star AWPers. You know, he's had like good performances here and there where he's popped off, but it's not a reliable thing. I can't really rely on Esatag to carry with the op. He's more of a, I don't know, he's like a support AWPer almost a lot of times. Um, you know, and against Cadian, who is also, he's not, you know, necessarily a top AWPer in the world, but he's good. He's been showing a more solid, more consistent form. Previously, a knock on him had kind of been that in the important matches he tends to fade a little bit, and his, I don't know, his op just wasn't hitting as hitting the same as it did in other matches. So as long as he's got that on lock, I think the whole Esatag angle might be an issue for them. Brawlin is great. You know, Hampus can be sick as well. Plopsky has been doing better, and Rez has a really, really high ceiling, but doesn't always show it. Um, Whereas I just feel like across the board, Heroic is a much more like level team. Their performances are way more consistent and way more level. And this roster is also, I know they have Jabby now, but before they got rid of Refresh, they had gone an extremely long time. I think it was only behind Cloud9 the amount of time that that roster had been together. So the core here, these four, they really have they've really worked out their game and solidified their style and their system. So I think that's going to help them too. Whereas NIP, they're so used to slotting in a different player every 2 weeks. It seems like there's a different player. You have a new IGL coming in. You have a new Opper coming in. You have, Brawlin is coming in. Like, it's just been a lot. So they definitely have that working against them, NIP. As I said, they're both coming off the LAN wins, so that's good for them. And NIP did look good in that LAN. So, I'm leaning towards heroic here. But yeah, it's hard to pin this one down, and the head-to-head too is extremely even. 8-8 wins. Yep, it's just hard to pin down NIP and to know exactly what kind of form they're going to show when the team is just constantly changing. And we'll see. We'll see what happens here. But I'm going to lean towards heroic. I probably won't bet this one unless it's a live bet. I might take a look at that. But yeah, should be a good match. Okay, next we're going to take a look at NaVi versus MOUZ. Okay. This is a tough one. This is going to be a tough one for MOUZ. Not going to beat around the bush. They really don't have many advantages or any MOUZ. Maybe the one thing that they have going for them is Dust 2 has been really good to Navi lately. They've been killing it on Dust 2, and that is MOUZ's permaban. So, that's one thing that's good for them. They can kind of eliminate one of Navi's best maps with their first ban. Other than that, though, I mean, it's just all the players. MOUZ players are very good individually, but I'll still take almost any Navi player over a MOUZ player. Just skill for skill. Simple's better than all of them. Bit's better than all of them. Electronic's better than all of them. Perfecto better than, in his role at least. I mean, sure, his rating isn't as high, and he might not frag out as much as Torsi does usually, but doing his job, he's extremely solid. And SDY, the jury's still out. He's only had a few officials with this team, but he's performed very well so far, and everyone seems to really enjoy playing with him. I think he brings a lot of firepower, which is kind of funny to think Navi need any more firepower, right? But yeah, he's definitely brought more firepower than Boomich, who was kind of Boomich was good, but he was more he would be good for like odd clutches here or there, odd pop off rounds where he sprints up catwalk with a MP9 or like a shotgun or something and gets it done like that. He wasn't really a consistent star fragger like rifler or anything like that. So it's nice to have another rifler that can really bring some firepower to the team. I'm going to take a look at this here because I thought this was kind of an interesting stat. I just saw this a little bit earlier. Where are we here? Right. So looking at the percentages of the wins and the way they win and lose on each team, I thought it was kind of funny, a little bit weird that MOUZ has 52 maps here, 23 matches, and in 23 matches they have never won a match 2-1. That's pretty strange. I don't think I've seen that before on another team, like coming from a sample size like this. So I'm not sure. I mean, that kind of tells me that MOUZ, they tend to front run a little bit. It seems like if things are going well for them and they're rolling, they'll just keep it rolling and 2-0. Whereas if they lose the first map, or if they have to come back from adversity, they seem to struggle. I mean, they've never been able to close it out even one time 2-1. Where they took a map loss and then had to win it out in the long game. They've never been able to do it. So that's a little concerning for them. I mean, they're supposed to lose this match anyway, but that's definitely not going to help them because 2-0ing Navi, that's a tall order. It can happen, especially in opening matches of tournaments, which we'll talk about in a second. But I don't know. That's not a good look for me. I don't like that. Let's go down here. All right, so in the maps here, NaVi is going to ban Dust. Or I'm sorry, what am I saying? MOUZ is going to ban Dust, and NaVi is going to be banning Vertigo right off the bat. Unfortunately for MOUZ, NaVi kind of likes a lot of the same maps as them. Ancient is MOUZ is actually really great on Ancient. They're pretty damn good, and they're also pretty good on Nuke. I think this percentage has dropped a little bit recently, but historically they've been incredible on Nuke. I know MOUZ NXT, which is where Torzi and JDC came from. They were absolutely phenomenal on Nuke. They were, they're the best academy team by far, but they were crushing it on Nuke. They were crushing it on Ancient. They were crushing it on Mirage, I believe, as well. I think Inferno also. Like they were just so much better than any of the other teams. But this is NaVi. This is a step up now. So you know, MOUZ have always been able to kind of lean on Ancient and rely on that for a map win, and it pretty much would always come through for them. I mean, 91% of the time, that's damn good. But NaVi is really just a class above, and 80% on Ancient. That's a tall order if they want to pick into that. They might do it, but you know, same with Nuke. If they want to pick into Nuke, don't pay too much attention to this being a little bit higher than Navi's because Navi is facing better opponents, and also the sample size is much lower here, so it's a little bit skewed in that regard. But yeah, obviously Navi had the insane nuke streak that was broken by Vitality. I don't remember how many maps it was. It was like 20 something wins in a row on nuke. So that's definitely not a safe bet for MOUZ either. And then you look at everything else, and Navi is favored on pretty much every other map. They don't have a lot of stats on Overpass here for the last 3 months, but the one time that they did play it, they won it. And I've seen them do fine on that. I don't think they're too worried about it. And MOUZ isn't great on it either. So 60% win rate, but I've seen them struggle. I've seen them lose to Sprout on this map, I think, a couple times. But Electronic, since he became IGL and he's calling, he's looked really great. I really like his calling. His mid-round calling is awesome. It's so much better than Boomich's, and it's cool that you could see right away. Like right away, you could tell that someone else is calling the shots. Boomich, they did a lot of slow defaults, a lot of waiting around, and then bum rushing into a site with 10 seconds left, and hoping that they could get the bomb down. Um, it's just much simpler approach, no pun intended. Whereas with Electronic, it just seems so much more dynamic. Like I said, especially in the mid rounds where they're moving through. I feel like I remember one round where they were playing a team on Inferno recently, and they were moving towards arches. They were gonna go hit A for an A take, and they got to pick arches, and they just flipped the whole thing, ran arches to B, ended it, and it just looked so seamless and so clean. Whereas a lot of the Boomich rounds, they'd be kind of disorganized, especially if they had to react quickly or change the plan. It would just, a lot of times they would lose to time because everyone is scrambling and it's not decisive. Um, the electronic calls look much more decisive. I feel like that's a good way to describe it, and much more dynamic. So I'm excited about that. I can't wait to see more of that. And the other cool thing is that electronic becoming the IGL has really not affected his fragging, which is what you'll normally see when a player either is the IGL or switches to IGL. You'll see that their individual stats suffer a lot, and they're usually, not dropping as many frags as they normally would. It's like the Kerrigan kind of thing where, he'll pop off now and then, but usually people are just kind of excusing his performances because of his massive brain, and he's dedicating everything to the team. So it's cool to see Electronic still dropping a ton of kills. And we can even take a look here at yeah, so we can look at some of the recent matches from the last tournament. I think these are all the matches where Electronic has IGL'd so far. And you can see, he's putting up great numbers still. And they're 2-0 versus Vitality, where he was calling plus 13, 39 and 26 across the series. That's great. You couldn't really ask for more than that. Against OG in their rematch, 2-1 victory over OG. Electronic positive 16, 72 and 56 on the series. Great. And then against FaZe, 2-0 against FaZe here. Another great performance, plus 16. So, I mean, he's consistently fragging out, and I mean, it almost looks better. It sounds weird to say, but I think it might have actually helped him. We'll see, throughout this tournament how that plays out if he continues to put up these numbers and look great. But it almost seems like being able to make the calls himself and play in a style that's comfortable to him, it might actually help his fragging and put him in more situations to get kills if he can keep track of all that. So far so good. So that's really nice to see because Electronic had over the past year he's been in a little bit not a slump, but he's been quieter. I'd say like he'll come alive on LAN, but in some of the online matches he was a little bit quiet. Say that. Not that he played poorly, but he wasn't fragging like this. So happy to see that. What else do we want to look at here? Really, it's Navi's match to lose. I think everybody is expecting Navi to take this, which is you do have to be careful about that because it's Counter-Strike. Anyone can win, anyone can lose. It's a huge, it's a lot of mental. If for whatever reason, if the players aren't all there, if people aren't focused in the server, and Simple's tilting, whatever, like anything can happen. But I just don't see a way for MOUZ to take 2 maps off Navi. It just doesn't seem realistic. Again, the quality of the players is just better. You've got they don't have the veteran and NBK anymore to kind of help Dexter call, and which I really think was helping. I thought that they looked better with NBK, even though I think JDC and Torzi are both better individual players than NBK. It's not always about that, there's a lot of other intangibles that people can bring to a team, and for whatever it was, they were clicking a little bit better with NBK. Dexter is not an exceptional IGL. He's not a bad IGL. I'd say he's good, but he's not as dynamic as a lot of the other callers, and he can kind of get stuck in the mud a little bit, and he's not a phenomenal individual performer either. So, he gets a lot of flack. A lot of people, think he's gotten too many chances here, and I feel like if they don't start to perform, and show better results soon, I think Dexter might be the first piece to go. So we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, I mean, JDC and Torzi coming up from MOUZ NXT, the academy team, they're the standouts. 2 of the standouts on this team were, you know, maybe not JDC as of late, but they're putting up the numbers. But they are still younger players. They're getting experience still. They don't have anywhere near the experience levels of any of these players here. So that's really working against them, and that tends to be amplified. I feel like in these big matchups where all the pressure is on and you're playing against the big dog, you can kind of defeat yourself a little bit in those situations when you have less experience. So we'll see how that factors into it. But yeah, those guys are still coming into their own. So the one thing I will say about MOUZ having a chance here, Navi can be slow starters, especially in opening matches of tournaments. I don't know why, but I've seen it a few times now where they'll drop series or maps to teams that they have no business losing to. I mean, I could have to go back and take a look here, but I feel like I remember them losing. I mean, they just lost in the Blast, the finals. They lost to OG, right? You know. Take a look at this match. This was a big shocker, because this was the brand new OG roster, and they were playing with the stand-in of Dexter. So I mean, why are they losing this match? It's one of those things. They turned it around. They went down to the losers bracket and they worked their way back up and they got it done. But you know, it's a little bit concerning. And then we had this phase. This was at the finals of the major when FaZe, Kerrigan got his major win finally. Um, and that was just whatever. That was FaZe's major to win. It was just the same as when on their Stockholm major, you could just tell NaVi was gonna win. It was their time. They were just looking unstoppable, and no one had anything for them. It was a very similar situation with FaZe here. Um, so props to them. And there were some close games. The first map at least was pretty close. So yeah, that doesn't this doesn't really go along with my point, but the opening tournament match thing, yeah. First match of the blast thing, and they lose 1-2 to OG, right? So that's not good. Man, I wish I could go back further. Because they did have a loss. I wish I could remember what team it was. I do remember this match. This was a little bit concerning. I think this was the opening match for the major. They almost lost to this random ass team, Quasar, like a bunch of little Russian kids or something. Like they were giving them a run for their money on Ancient. I'm pretty sure they had to like pull a miraculous comeback. Where did that just go? Just lost it. Let's take a look at this real quick. Okay. I was looking for the round distribution, but it looks like they did get 10 rounds on their CT side, so it wasn't as bad as I thought it was, as I remember it being. But I think that was because the half started off rough. I think they were down by a significant amount in this first half, and then they brought it back and ran away with it at the end. But I do remember Quasar like opening up really well, stringing a bunch of rounds together, and you could see Navi starting to sweat a little bit. And I mean, in the end, it was very close. Um, but they played. Who was it that they lost to in the opening series? Freaking MIBR. In the Blast Spring groups. This is another opening match. I don't know what it is with that. They're just they can be slow starters, Again, best of one. So we talked about that the other day with the best of ones. Upsets are much more likely, and anything can happen. It's just one map, and one poor decision can swing the whole thing the other way. But Navi losing to MIBR, are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me? So just know that this can happen, even to Navi. I know it's simple, and but it's like in the 300, the guy says even a God King can bleed. So just got to be aware that Navi does choke opening matches of tournaments sometimes. That's the moral of the story here. I wouldn't advise, betting on that hope that they're gonna choke it. But if you're watching live and you see some really good odds or something and you want to take a shot, there is that possibility that Navi just come into this one cold and just don't get going. And we also highlighted earlier that MOUZ tend to front run a little bit. If they get off to a good start, they actually can close it out more often than not. Looking at the wrong thing here. You know, they've never won 2-1, but they win 2-0 56% of the time, which is very high. So, there is a scenario where Navi just comes into this super cold for some reason. They're not hitting shots. You know, maybe Electronic has a bad day calling and he's not able to get it going. He gets flustered, and now you've got MOUZ has won the first map, and they start doing their front running thing and they win it 2-0. I think that's really the only scenario. I think MOUZ have to take that first map and get the momentum going for them, and get NaVi on the back foot, get the pressure building up on them, because they have to know too that they do this. I mean, they've, it's happened enough where I'm sure Blade, the coach, knows. I'm sure the players know that, they are, they are, they tend to lose those matches sometimes. So if they lose that first map, they're going to be sweating, I think, and I will be too probably. So I think that's the only way for MOUZ to do this is to stomp them on the first map, just bum rush them, take advantage of them being slow starters, and then try to capitalize from there. So we'll see what happens with that one, but it's it's a pretty clear path to victory for NaVi, and they should get it done really. I mean, you're talking about the best player in the world. You're talking about the GOAT. And this guy is really just a freak. The consistency of the numbers that Simple puts up, 1.3 rating, it's so insanely high, and it's just so insanely consistent. That's the thing, and he'll do it on an AWP or a rifle. You've got the best headshotter in the game right here. I don't know what it's at right now, his headshot percentage, but I know it's absolutely cracked. 63%, and I believe it was even higher than that like a while ago. I mean, it's hard to explain like how good that is and how valuable that is. SDY, sick rifler, sick caller, and probably the greatest support player, tied with Inters, I would say, from Cloud9. So it's NaVi's match to lose, and I think the odds are going to reflect that. It's I don't think that we can even see yet. Do they have the bets up? Oh, they do. They've released the props here. So let's check this out. I haven't even seen this yet. They didn't have them up when I started. Okay, yeah, that's kind of what I thought. So like, there's not really a lot of value on NaVi. Minus 130 for a 2-0, and then minus 525 to bet them straight. So I think they'll probably end up being a parlay piece. That's what I would advise. Maybe live odds if they go down on the first map, and I think if you can get a 2-0 for them at plus 150 or above, I think that's worth taking a stab on, trying to build up a position on that, on NaVi to 2-0, because they really should. MOUZ 0-2, depending on how they look in the first couple rounds, if you're, I would watch that, just kind of get a feel for how the players are looking on the server, and you can kind of tell pretty quickly who's hitting and who's not. And that might be something to look into. Plus 775. I mean, that's great. That's good value. I don't think they'll do it, but if they are going to do it, that's probably how they'll do it, because like we discussed a couple times here, they've never won a 2-1. I mean, trends are made to be broken, people say, I guess. But I just don't think, if they've never managed to win a game 2-1, I don't think NaVi are going to be the guys that they do it against. So they need to do it 2-0 if they want to do it. And plus 775, it could be worth a small shot if you're into that. But let's move on here. My pick's going to be NaVi, obviously. Okay, let's go on now. Ence versus Vitality. I think this will be another close match. The head-to-head, if I remember correctly, is really close for these teams. 5 against 4 wins. I think taking a look at the maps here, Ence are going to ban Inferno, which Vitality is fine with because they're garbage on Inferno, so that kind of helps them out a little bit. And then Vitality is going to ban Ancient 100%. Ence are great on Ancient, and they do not like that map. They never play it. So then that's going to leave us with Vitality picking Dust 2 or Overpass, I would say. I don't know if they'll be able to get this through. I also think I heard somewhere, I feel like I remember hearing the Ence guys saying that they really don't like Overpass, that they think it should be removed or changed or something. It might have been Dika that said that. But yeah, I don't think that they like that map too much. So you might see them ban this out. But if Vitality can get that, I would probably go for Overpass, and if not, then I would definitely take Dust 2, which they've looked great on. They've been picking it a ton. And I mean, it makes sense, right? Because ZywOo, you've got, you know, the second best player in the world. You're going to want to use that and abuse that op on a map like Dust 2 where oppers have, free reign. So, take a look here. Yep, 70% win rate and 37% first pick rate for Dust 2 on Vitality. They also like to pick Nuke, or I'm sorry, that's Ence. Yeah, Vitality haven't really picked Nuke too much lately, but they do like playing it. Vitality were actually the ones that broke Navi's like 20 plus map streak on Nuke, so they're no slouches on it either, even if their win rate is only 57% compared to the 75% of Ence. Vitality can bang on Nuke. It was a different roster. Granted, that was the Kyojin and Shock's roster that broke Navi's win streak, which is kind of bittersweet. That was, they just kind of hit their peak, and the team was looking probably a lot better than this version of Vitality. They broke a legendary win streak and then disbanded. So I mean, that kind of sucked for them, and now they're still trying to figure this out and rebuild. But still, the remaining players and then the two new players they got, Dupree and May, just both know how to play Nuke very well, so they can play Nuke if they have to, if it comes to it. But I do favor Ence there still, especially with the form that Vitality has been in. Um, I wouldn't bet on them to win Nuke or anything like that. And it might end on Mirage. Not exactly sure how the rest of this will shake out, but I wouldn't be surprised to see something like maybe Overpass. Yeah, if it ends on Mirage, I would say Ence are going to be slightly favored there. Vitality were shaky at first on that map and then kind of figured it out. And they haven't really showed great form in general. So I think if it gets there, Ence will probably end up taking it and it'll be close. Vitality recently they had that 2-0 loss to or 0-2 loss to Movistar, which was shocking and not a good sign, especially because they had just beaten G2 in the what was this, the Blast thing, the Blast Fall Finals, or yeah, the Spring Final. Sorry, what am I saying? They just beat G2 in that Spring Final. Got to the in the arena. They got into the grand finals. They got smacked down by NaVi, unfortunately, but again, you can always kind of excuse that. And they made it. They did what they had to do to get to the grand finals there. So that was like a really nice thing for them to finally make it deep into an event and show some damn results. I know they were really hyped over that. But then, you're thinking that they're starting to figure it out there, and then they lose to Movistar Riders 0-2. And then today against Sprout, I mean, there were many points where I thought that they were going to lose that series. It was back and forth the whole time, and they were really struggling. They had to come back from round deficits multiple times. I think on a couple of the maps, they dropped the ball and they had to, they were down 2-3 rounds and would have to like bring it back, and then they couldn't streak the rounds together. It was just a very labored affair. And it was not what I wanted to see out of Vitality. I was expecting really for them to stomp Sprout. Um, you know, ZywOo was playing pretty well, but I also saw him missing some uncharacteristic shots, some sitters, like quite literally some shots where people were sitting down, crouching and not moving, and he peeked into the angle and missed. Just some strange things like that. In the end, they did get it done, but it's just something to look at and to be a little bit concerned about the fact that they had so much trouble putting away Sprout, and then it actually almost went the other way. You know, in the end, it was 16-10, but I mean, you can see 7-8 at the half, and then they had to come back from deficits a couple times. Went to overtime on the first map. Sprout ended up winning. You know, something to consider there. I think that they're going to step it up, though. Vitality. They might be another one of these teams that kind of play to the level of their opponent. because when they go up in big matches, they step up. They can also have close matches with shittier teams, but ZywOo, I think he really just needs to be on like from the start here if they want to have a chance in this. Um, he ZywOo needs to take control and not. He's been a lot more passive, I think, on this roster. Not as free, and I really would like to see him take control and just kind of start like rotating around a lot, being aggressive, and not play to the opponent's strategy or not play to the opponent's level. He's the one of the best operators in the world. He's the second best player in the world. He needs to take advantage of that, and I think he needs to abuse the duel between himself and Hades. Um, Hades is a good opper. I wouldn't say he's a great opper though, and he's still figuring out, how exactly he likes to play on this end side, which is so aggressive. Um, for a team that's as aggressive as they are, it's you would think that they would have an aggressive opper, but Hades is actually pretty passive most of the time. Um, he has been coming out of his shell a little bit and going for more, but in general, you can see it's just not his natural tendency to be that aggressive opper. And if ZywOo can abuse that and really just go after that, just get up in his face and win the duels, make him fight and beat him in those duels, it can really deflate Hades. He's one of those players where if things aren't going his way, it can really start to tailspin. I've seen some matches where he's just off, he's having bad games, and it'll bleed actually into like uh, the following maps even. Um, where you'll see him on the face cam, he's like he's got his head in his hands, he's sighing a lot. He's looking around like you can tell that he just can't get anything going and he doesn't know what to do about it, and he really lets that get to him. So I think if Vitality want to win this, they really need ZywOo to push Hades and to make him uncomfortable, um, and just make him afraid to take the fights. If you're every time you peek something, you're getting one shot and you're dead, you're not going to want to peek a lot. So it's that simple. I think ZywOo really needs to just try to abuse that duel, and he has all the tools to do that. Obviously, he's the better operator. I don't think anyone's debating that. He's better all around. He's every aspect of it. So I would really like to see ZywOo step up and be that second best player in the world, because historically, if this were the previous Vitality and this version of Ence, I think most people would easily favor Vitality when ZywOo was just popping off like absolute crazy. He's been a little bit more muted as of late. He's still performing awesome, but it's not that free that just ball of energy where you didn't know if he was just gonna fly around a corner and just snipe two guys real quick and whip out his pistol and one tap someone. He's definitely been more reserved, so I would like to see him kind of let go and just go for this a little bit in this series. Um, and you know, if Hades goes quiet like that, it's gonna be a big problem for him. I think aside from ZywOo, just letting loose, I think that Masuda really needs to be online. There was a lot of talk during Vitality's their bad slump period where they around here where they really weren't figuring it out. Um, a lot of calls for Masuda's head. People wanted to see him go. Had some really bad performances. Um, but over the past few series, I have been seeing better stuff from Masuda. Today, in the Sprout match, I saw some nice multi-frags from Masuda. I think he had a sick ace, if I remember correctly, and it wasn't like an eco ace, like it was on a buy round, and he just mowed the whole team down on A ramp, made it look easy. And we have seen that from him in the past on the previous roster. I feel like right at the ends of the previous roster, he had really started hitting his form, and he was looking fantastic. Um, so it'd be nice to see him get back to that, and I think that's if he's performing like that and ZywOo is also performing, I think that's going to make it pretty difficult for Ence. It could still be close because they have Spinks, obviously, who's a monster, and Dika is also an underrated fragger. So it should be a good match. Should be a close match, but there's a lot of win conditions. I feel like Vitality need to sort themselves out here, and if they play like they did against Movistar or against Sprout, they're done, man. Like if they play the series they played against Sprout against Ence, they're gonna get destroyed. So I hope that they got that out of their systems, and they can do a little bit better here, because that's not gonna cut it. Overall, though, I'm gonna favor Ence a little bit. Um, you know, I think Vitality have the potential to hit a higher peak than Ence, but Ence has just been kind of cruising at this altitude for so long. They've been pretty stable, and I think a lot of these guys have gotten really confident, and they haven't really had any stretches of bad, like any slumps or any stretches of bad results to really put that doubt in their mind, like Vitality have. Vitality know that they can choke. They've done it plenty recently, um, and so that's got to be in the back of their mind at least a little bit. So yeah, I am favoring Ence slightly, but if Zywoo is online and Masuda is online, then that completely flips. It's a very close match. I probably won't do a bet on this one. Um, Over 2.5 could be something to look at. But I do favor Ence a little bit, so I'll take Ence, but I wouldn't be surprised if Vitality take it. It's a good match. It's a close match. Okay, let's keep this moving. We're already gone pretty late here. All right, so I'm so excited for this match. I can't wait for this one. Okay, so we've got Cloud9 versus Outsiders. Full disclosure, I am a Gambit and Cloud9 stan. It is what it is. These are my boys. Um, Got to see him at IEM Dallas. Got to see him win the whole thing. It was absolutely fantastic. And they've been playing really well lately, so very happy about that. So looking at the maps here, they share the permaban and nuke. So whoever goes first is likely just going to ban it outright, especially if it's Cloud9 after their at the major, their little scare with nuke. I guess it wasn't a scare; it was more of a disaster, where they forgot to ban, or I don't even know how it happened, but somehow they accidentally did not ban nuke. They thought they had banned it, and they didn't. So FaZe just picked it, and they destroyed them on it because they don't play nuke. It's their permaban, and that is the one map that you see played here is when they made the mistake of not banning it, and it accidentally came through. Um, so whoever goes first on the ban is banning that. If outsiders uh, um, if outsiders go next, they're going to ban ancients. And then if Cloud9 go next, they're going to ban Inferno, right? Um, I don't think Cloud9 want to play Inferno against outsiders, especially lately. They've been showing really good form on Inferno, outsiders have. And Cloud9 have, it's not that they're bad, but they've definitely had some strange results on this map. You'll see some games where they look incredible on it, and then other games where they just look a little bit lost. Um, Take a look here. Oh yeah, they had just lost in the Rubet Cup. Big won the whole thing, so you want to take that with a grain of salt. It makes the loss a little bit easier to swallow, but they lost to Big on Inferno, and Big do not play Inferno. It was previously their permaban, and they hadn't played it in 3 months, I think, and they let it, it came through, and Big beat Cloud9 on Inferno, so that was not a good look. That was a little bit shocking. Um, I just don't think that Cloud9 are going to want to play them on this, so I think they'll probably try to ban that. Outsiders pretty bad at Ancient. Um, I don't know. From what I've seen on the previous roster, they just did not look like Ancient gamers, and Cloud9 have kind of figured it out lately. They've been looking good on it. So I think Outsiders will try to avoid that. Um, I favor Cloud9 on most of these maps really. Inferno is, I think, really Inferno and maybe Dust 2. I would favor Outsiders, but even that, it, it's kind of a coin toss, Dust 2, because it's similar with Inferno. I've seen Cloud9 look unstoppable on Dust 2. They're just running through the map and just taking everyone out. But then, I've also seen them, just look completely uninspired. And 40% is not great. It's a small sample size, though. Um, it's just the nature of that map, really. It's just a coin toss up. You get in the server one time and everything's working well, and another time it's just nothing's clicking. So I think they'll try to avoid that as well if they can. And Outsiders probably be angling for this, and Inferno. So we'll see how that goes. And this is CIS versus CIS as well. So two Russian teams. It's probably going to be a close match, as most of these domestic matchups are. And especially because of the styles of these teams. These are two of the slowest teams in all of Counter-Strike. So I really expect this to be a lot like a chess match, like very measured, very slow. Some might even say boring. I don't think it's boring, but it's going to be very strategic, very slow, and there's going to be a lot of saving, I bet. Between Jame and Shiro, there's going to be some saving going on. You know, so we'll keep that in mind. Be ready. Be ready for to sit for a while and watch these guys draw this thing out. Um, you know, on these other maps here, Overpass, Vertigo. I favor Cloud9 has looked great on Vertigo lately. Outsiders have also looked good, but not as good as they used to. Mirage, definitely favor Cloud9. Axile is an absolute monster on Mirage, and he's been pretty consistently performing on this. So we'll look to him there. On Overpass, NaVi is actually the key to Overpass for Cloud9. If NaVi is having a bad game, it could cause issues for them, but when NaVi is fragging on Overpass, they win. It's just that simple. He plays well on that map, and it really suits his style. So that's watch out for NaVi on Overpass if it goes there. You're really going to want to see him being aggressive, fragging out. He'll often top frag on Overpass, which you wouldn't really think when you've got Shiro and Axile and Hobbit on the team. But NaVi pretty consistently top frags on Overpass, so he's really important there. Yeah, overall, just the player quality and the map pool is better for Cloud9. Um, not to say that the players on Outsiders aren't good. Jame is fantastic. Flit is amazing. And these guys, Norbert and Fame, they're proving that they're no slouches on their own. They're really good riflers, and they do their job. They pull their weight. And Kickert as well. He's always good for some crazy plays, and he's very consistent in his own right. So, but we're talking about Cloud9 here. These are some of the best players in the world. I think they had 3 players, I think 3 players in the top 20 this last cycle when it came out. So, and you got Shiro what was he, number 4? He should have been number 3 or 2, but they did him dirty. So. Outsiders they're relatively new, this version of the roster. Sure, you've got Flit, Kickert, and Jame who've been playing together for a while, but Norbert and Fame just came into this, and they've adjusted well. They're looking good, but even Norbert has said, I think there was an article that came out where like the headline was talking about, it was like a quote from Norbert talking about Jame, saying how big his brain was. It's like, when I first came onto the team, I couldn't understand him because his brain was so big. And it's true, Jame does have a big brain, but they play a very complex style, and there's a lot of protocol and a lot of by the numbers playing, just like Cloud9. So in a pressure situation, that could affect these guys, especially because they don't have the benefit of having played against Cloud9 before. Flit, Kickard, and Jame, they've played against Cloud9 a ton of times. They know how they play. They understand the style. They understand the tendencies, I'm sure. Um, but Norbert and Fame have not had that experience yet, and I know that for a lot of players, it's very difficult to play against Cloud9. Um, so I'm going to be looking at that as well to see how these guys are adjusting to it and see how they can figure out the style of Cloud9, which can frustrate a lot of players, I think. Um, I just don't know if they're ready for this yet. They've come from a tier 2 team, and yeah, they've been performing well, but this is top of the top tier 1 Counter Strike. These guys were top 1 in the world for a long time. Um, number 4 now, and they'll be back top 1 again eventually here. So, these guys better be ready. And I take, any of the riflers on Cloud9 over these guys as good as they are. So there's that as well. And Cloud9, they know how to play together. They've played against a ton of different types of teams. They played against outsiders. They get the outsider style as well. I mean, Cloud9, they were previously Gambit, and they were the longest unchanged roster. I think they still are. I think they might be the only team in the top 20 where they haven't changed a player in over a year. I think Heroic was up there with them before they got rid of Refresh. It was Cloud9 and Heroic were the only two teams that hadn't done roster changes. But now it's just Cloud9. These guys have been together for a while. They know each other. They know how they play. They have that rapport built up where it's just becoming, a part of them. They don't really. It's not like here where there's in Outsiders. There's going to be a lot of communication focused on making sure that the plan is understood, making sure that everyone is on the same page. Um, there's a lot that goes into it, especially when you have an IGL like Jame, who is huge brain and he wants very specific things. I'm sure Cloud9 doesn't really have to worry about that. They've been together for over a year, and they know every one of these guys knows exactly how the other one is going to play and what they're going to do in a particular situation. They know what they want from each other, and they know how to get it. So um, I favor them in that regard, and I think it's going to be a great match. I would like to take a shot on a 2-0 for Cloud9, but there's not a lot of value in it, unfortunately. I think when I looked earlier, it was like, what was it, plus 120 something? Let's see. Yeah, plus 125. So, I mean, I don't really, if it was, plus 150, closer to plus 200, that might make me take a shot on it pre-match. But, just Outsiders doesn't really get 2-0'd that often, 9%. So it'll more likely be 2-1 if they do win. But I might take a stab on the live odds if we can get some good live odds. If I can get them at like plus 300, and it looks like they, if it's early on in the match or something like that, they go down a few rounds and now it's plus 300. I might take a shot there because I do believe in Cloud9. I do believe they can 2-0 them. But just be aware that Outsiders, they're in it for the long haul. This is one of the hardest teams to put away. Even just on each map. I mean, they have a lot of overtimes, and they don't mind playing like that. They don't let the pressure get to them usually. So there's definitely that. Here we can just look, Cloud9, if it goes to Mirage, we got a 4-map winning streak for Cloud9. Already said Axile is a beast on Mirage. So there's that. We've got Inferno here. Outsiders are on a 5-map win streak there, and they've looked really good. James clutches are insane on Inferno. And then we've also got the 4-map win streak for Cloud9 on Ancient, and this is not a great map for Outsiders. They've only played it twice and they haven't won. So if that comes through, then I mean, I'm definitely, we're obviously going to favor Cloud9 on this, and I favor them on Vertigo as well. So you know, Outsiders can pull it out if they can stretch this out, especially if Cloud9 is not they're not. Sometimes they tend to get in their own way, I guess you could say. If these guys are in the right headspace and they're just playing their game, they're unstoppable. Like the players on Cloud9 are just better, and they would win. But they're still young. They're young players, and they do get in their own way sometimes. Sometimes they might have a rough start, and they tend to let it spiral a little bit. Um, I think back to that the Imperial match from the major where they had a rough start and a couple players were playing a little rough, and it gets progressively worse. I mean, by the end of that Mirage map, it was just like I don't even remember like what the scores were like or how many frags Shiro had or anything, but I just remember thinking like it wasn't Shiro. Um, it was there were a couple of them. They were like shells of themselves because they just let that pressure build and get to them rather than being able to calm themselves down and just play their game. So you do have to watch out for that with Cloud9. If it looks like they're starting to spiral, um, just be aware of that. I don't think it'll happen. I think they're pretty comfortable playing against outsiders, but you know, it has happened in the past. I think they're past that though. I think we're good. So I'm gonna go with Cloud9 here. You know, I love Game Time just as much as anyone else, but you know, I gotta go with the boys. Let's be real. And I'm gonna be looking for them to get it done 2-0, but you know, it might be more realistic to think it's going to be a 2-1 just based off of the grit of outsiders, and they don't really let people put them away like that very often. Um, you can see here in this entire patch of matches, they only lost 0-2 once, and that was to Furia. Um, so it is what it is. 2-2 in recent head-to-head matches, but they're all close, you know. I think as long as we just need two players on Cloud9 to be performing at their, not even at their peak, but just at their normal good level. If we have Shiro and Axile, or if we have Shiro and Hobbit, or if we have Hobbit and Axile, that's really what we need. That's kind of the magic of Cloud9. Even Nafany can pop off on certain maps, and Inters too. I've seen matches where Inters is top fragging. It doesn't happen often, and it can be a little concerning if that is the case, because that means some of the other stars are not performing. But he has been known to step up when needed as well, and he's been clutching a lot more recently. So we just need two players for Cloud9 to play their game, and it's a win for them. If we have one, it might get a little bit more difficult. Like if we just have Shiro, and then you know everyone else is kind of just playing average. That's when it gets a little dicey. But if we get two Cloud9 players online, it's curtains for whoever they're playing, because they just the same way that they can kind of fold under the pressure and spiral if it's not going well, they can also do the opposite the other way, where if they're playing well, you got two of these guys that are going off, they almost like pick up steam and get even better as the map goes on, and they just start hitting insane shots and just doing crazy things, you know. So again, I'm going to take Cloud9. I'll probably throw them in a parlay. I'd be careful betting them straight unless I can get good live odds. So let's move on to the last match here. And this one, I'm going to go quick, because this is the hardest match of the day, hands down, to predict. I don't think anyone knows what's going to happen here. If someone tells you that they know what's going to happen, they're probably lying, because this is Yukindar's debut with Liquid here. Rip Shocks, they tried out with Shocks for a while, and it was I like Shocks. I like his personality. He's a cool guy. Seems like he was chill with all the players and they were getting along and whatnot, but he wasn't the right fit for Liquid. His English wasn't great. I mean, it's fine, but in a competitive environment like this, where split second communication errors or misunderstandings can cost rounds and matches, it wasn't good enough, and he was having some issues with that, I think. And it was also it was causing him a lot of stress, which compounds just everything in general. He was also not the greatest fit. He was doing a lot of lurking, and they just looked flat, Liquid, you know. So I'm glad that they ended up moving quickly, not sticking around and wasting a lot of time with Shocks. And now they have Yekindar, who I think that's one of the best pickups they could have hoped for, really. Um, that's, I don't know of a better entry fragger rifler that you could ask for. So he's going to bring a lot to the team, I think. Not sure exactly how everything's going to fit together for them, but I really like this move, and I have a feeling that it's going to really unlock the potential of a lot of the other players and really free them up to play their games. Because I think there was a lot of compensation going on for Shocks. So, we finally have a true entry fragger here. Whereas before we had Shocks, who was just kind of lurking everywhere, leaving himself in like clutches towards the ends of rounds and things like that, that he would kind of win sometimes. He was good for the odd clutch here and there. But they just didn't have that like concussive shot. They just didn't have a way really to bust down doors, and they couldn't have gotten a better man for the job. Yakindar, he'll rush into a bomb site, he'll fly in there dry and just get 2 headshots quicker than you can even realize what happened, and just open the whole thing up. This guy is a beast. And they haven't had like a true entry fragger like that since like Stewie 2K probably. I mean, not that he was way past his prime, and nowhere on the level of Yakindar, but I think it's a role that they were missing on their team, and I think just having that filled is gonna make everything work a lot better. It's gonna be a lot more cohesive, and it'll enable some of the other players to kind of follow up behind him and get shit done where they're not trying to force themselves into a role like that. Elige and Naf, they're not the greatest, just like straight up entry fraggers. So I'm cautiously optimistic about Liquid. I just have a good feeling about it. Naf is a phenomenal player. OC, he's really shown a lot of good opping. I like what I see from him, like in the eye test especially, is really good. I just think he's been kind of hindered by some of the chemistry and some of the roles on the team. And I think just having one more solid player to open things up will kind of relax him a little bit and let him play his game as well as Naf. And Nitro as well. He doesn't have to, he was doing a lot of the stuff that Yekindar is going to be doing, so it just kind of opens everyone up to do their own thing and just let Yekindar, let the big boy handle the entry fragging. It just gives them a new tool that they haven't had before. They have a new tool to bust open sites now, and it should be good. So brand new roster. This is their debut match. However, Spirit, they lost Dexter, who was, you can slice it however you want. Dexter was probably their best player. He was their star player, their star opper, and they lost him. And they got this guy Wonderful, who I still haven't really seen much of. I couldn't tell you a lot about like what I think about him yet. But he's been decent. And this is only, they only have 2 maps played with him, or 2 matches played with him. So again, the jury's out on that. Can't really say how this is going to go. I mean, you've got the firepower of Magic's Patsy and Siren, and even Chopper can, as we saw in their last series, I don't think anyone really expected him to go off like that, but he was top fragging. So, they have the pieces to do great things, and I wouldn't be surprised if they stomp Liquid. But I don't know, for some reason, I just see this being a competitive match, or Liquid just really just getting it done. Take a look at the map pool here. So Liquid are going to ban Nuke 100%. Liquid are going to ban Nuke, and Spirit are going to ban Inferno. Ancient is the best map remaining for Spirit, but Liquid also does like to play Ancient. So, I'm not sure if they're going to go for that. Vertigo is also good for both teams. It's not as good for Liquid. I mean, it says 60%, but they definitely do struggle, um, or have struggled in the past against the top teams when they play Vertigo. Even though it is one of the maps they like to play, they kind of, they'll get outclassed on it still. So I'm not exactly sure how this map veto is going to shake out, especially just with, you got to take into consideration what Yakindar likes to play, because I'm sure there's maps that he prefers that maybe Liquid, haven't in the past, like haven't had the tools to really play or to favor. Um, but you know, I'm just kind of I'm gonna be looking at Yakinder. I'm not gonna throw a ton on this. I might take a small shot on Liquid just because the odds are so even. I mean, even the bookmakers are, they're cautious about this. They don't know what to. You would think that Spirit would be a much larger favorite. Minus 120 and minus 109 is relatively even there. And you gotta look at that and think, why are they doing that? And I think it's because Yakindar is really going to help Liquid out a lot. I think he's going to do a ton for them, and I think they're live here, especially against such a young team and another team that has a newer player who's still figuring out his role in the team. Um, you know, it's not out of the realm of possibility that Liquid take this. Depending on the map pool, of course, we have to see how that goes. But they can definitely do it. Yakindar, he's not going to have like this a lot of the same problems that Shox had. He has very good English, and he's a pretty experienced player, so he's going to know how to fit himself into a team, and he knows what roles he likes, um, and uh, he's got a good personality for the team, I think. Not to say that Shox didn't, but I don't know. I feel like he's at the end of his career now, so he's like a little bit checked out. I feel like he kind of just wanted to do what he wanted to do, wanted to play how he wanted to play, and I don't think he was super psyched about, you know, uh, I just feel like he didn't really want to work with the rest of the team on that. I feel like he just kind of wanted to do what he wanted to do. So I think Yakindar is going to be much more receptive to playing for the team and to working around other people's roles, um, and to just getting it done, and also putting in the work. I know Shox really did not. I don't think it was his style really. Like he wasn't like a grinder even back in his prime, but like he really didn't play the game that much. I've heard like that he would, over like the course of a week, he would have like a couple hours on CS or something, and then they'd have like a match coming up the next week, and he wouldn't even be practicing. I mean, some people are just like that, where they can just hop in the server and their skill doesn't diminish at all. But I don't know. Yukindar, he doesn't strike me like that. I think he loves the game and he loves to play it, and that's kind of what you want. You want someone that's really involved in this game. If you want to be a team that's trying to improve and make deep runs and stuff, it's kind of hard when you have a player that's at the end of their career and they're kind of checked out, and they're not balls deep in the game. So I like that about Yukindar. I think he's going to really enable the other players, and the entry fragger role being filled is going to do a lot, like we were saying. Um, so yeah, there's not much more to say about this, just because it's really all speculation. We really don't know how they're going to match up. But I'm open to taking a shot on Liquid on this one at minus 109. They're pretty good odds, um, and I think we'll have an idea pretty quickly of how they're going to look. So we'll have to see what that first map is, and maybe just play the live angle. Maybe take a shot on Liquid, and watch to see if they go down on the first map, see how they looked. If they looked good and it was a close game, and then you got their map pick coming up next, you know, um, it's just something to consider. I think they can do it. I don't think it's. I think a lot of people are writing them off here, as far as like the fan base goes. Especially with Spirit's major run. They looked so good at the major. It was unbelievable. I mean, they almost they almost took FaZe down, who won the whole thing. But the more that I see from Spirit after that, the more that it wasn't a fluke, but they haven't really replicated that. haven't looked that powerful. You know, right after the major, they lost 2-0 to Finest, which is, you know, it is what it is. The post-major slump type of thing. You know, a lot of teams after they do really well at an event or something like that, they'll kind of drop the ball at the next event. So that was excused. But then we've got complexity here. That's, you know, that doesn't really tell us much. They should beat them. 0 Nation 2-1. You know, doesn't really tell us too much. So we'll just have to wait and see here. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up because I've already gone a really long time here. But we've got the odds here for the matches. Just take a look. So, like I said, I think I'm probably gonna do probably a small shot on Liquid, and I might even do like a live bet on them as well if I can get some decent odds. So, you know, maybe pay attention to this, look into it. Cloud9, I really like Cloud9 to beat Outsiders. So, again, I'm probably going to do a live bet. I don't think I'm going to bet pre-match on the 2-0 just because there's, you know, it's not a ton of value on it. But if I can get some good odds, I might go for that 2-0 on Cloud9. And then we've got NaVi versus MOUZ. I'm taking NaVi here. Ence versus Vitality. I'm favoring Ence, but I'm probably not going to involve myself in this one. Again, I might watch live, and if I see a good opportunity on a map pick or something, I might go for that. But I don't really see a safe angle here to play pre-match. Heroic NIP. I think Heroic will take it. But again, it could be a close match, and NIP is a little bit of a mystery right now. So we're going to watch that closely and see how that unfolds. G2 versus Movistar. I think G2 should take it. I think they really need to take it. I mean, if they lose to Movistar and they, you know, say they don't qualify for this tournament, for the arena, I think I'm not sure, but I think they might start considering roster changes, the management at least, because the roster is just too expensive for them to be performing this inconsistently and to not be getting deep every time. So I think it's going to be really important for the team to beat Movistar. You know, Movistar is on that they're in top form right now, so you know, got to be aware. But I do like G2 to win this one. So I think I'm gonna do probably a 3-leg parlay with G2, NaVi, and Cloud9, and that'll give you basically even odds plus 116. But I do like that. I think that's a safer way to play it. You know, it's just these favorites it's such heavy chalk. You know, maybe Cloud9 you could bet straight. I'd prefer to wait for better odds on like a 2-0 or something like that, or even a 2-1 if they lose the first map. But you know, how are you going to bet Navi straight at minus 525? You really don't ever want to do that, especially when it's the opening match of the tournament. We talked about they can lose those. I don't think it'll happen, but it can happen. And even minus 325 for G2, you know, a team that has shown a mixed bag of results, and Movistar are peaking, so I wouldn't lay minus 325 either. That's too much. But if I can get all three of these guys, you know, and lay a unit on this parlay here, it's a little bit better value. You don't have to take too much risk, and these teams should win. They really should. So I'm gonna go with that, I think, and then if you follow me on Twitter, I'll be putting out probably some live bets as I go through the day. It's gonna be a long day, so I'm gonna get some rest tonight and be ready for these matches. But yeah, follow me on there. I think it's at Big Green CS Bets. It'll be in the description below if you want to check that out, and I'll be posting live bets there. But yeah, you've got that 3-leg parlay. You know, keep an eye on Liquid. See how they're doing, see how Yakindar is looking. Also, you know, MOUZ, watch that first map and look at how MOUZ is doing. If you know, if you're feeling frisky and you think that you want to just get crazy and just go for some, you know, something that's probably not going to come through, but I mean that's sick value. Because if they win, that's how they're going to do it. It's going to be a 2-0. So, you know, maybe like 0.1, 0.2 units on that or something. But anyway, guys, I think that's going to be it. Be sure to like and subscribe and ring the bell and all that good stuff. It really helps out a lot. I said it before. I'm just kind of getting started with this, and I'm enjoying it, and it's going pretty well. And I know that there's an appetite for it, so I appreciate everyone that's watching. You know, I couldn't thank you guys enough. I really appreciate you being here. But I'm gonna go and get some food, and then try to get some sleep for these matches tomorrow. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks again for watching. I'll be back tomorrow to recap this, and we'll go over the next day's matches. I think on Friday there's not as many matches here, so it should be a little bit more relaxed. I mean, this was a long ass video, but we got, you know, 6 best of 3s. There's a lot to look into. And if you guys have anything that you want to, you think I should know about, or anything you want to discuss, any angles, any bets that you guys like, just post them in the comments below, and I'll be happy to respond and like talk to you guys, whatever you want. Um, you know, we're all helping each other make better bets and figure this thing out. So thanks again for watching, guys. Appreciate it, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.